Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 233, being recorded January 2nd, 2013. We're in the future, everybody. I'm Ryan Schraub.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malventano.
We are all here. You can tell from our voices, all of us, including and especially Alan, we are stoked that CES is next week, right?
I'm going to gamble and eat food and get fat.
Well, okay.
You won't, because you'll be running laps around casinos, Josh.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be happy that I'm not in a moving car constantly.
Well, you'll be waiting in taxi lines instead.
That's true.
That's
true.
like a stationary moving car.
But you know what? There's
Or
only four
stationary
of us, so
traffic.
we could cram real nicely into taxis.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Alan Ken gets middle.
It does simplify the transportation process when you'll have to take one taxi. So it's the first podcast of the new year. We are in between. Last week we had our best hardware episode, which I think was a riveting success. Great debate, great information. And then next week we start all of the hell that is Consumer Electronics Show 2013. And this week we're kind of in this in-between stage. We have a little bit of stuff to talk about. We'll kind of go through it quickly. And then we'll talk a little bit about what we think might happen at CES this year. Have a little bit of a prediction fun show. And yeah, we'll do that. Also, if you're watching live, which I encourage everybody to do now, pcper.com/live. We record every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, except for next week, where we won't do that because of CES. We're still planning on doing a daily podcast during the show. We're gonna try to do it live, maybe. It all completely depends on how much bandwidth we have. I think like Saturday night when we're there, we'll probably have enough bandwidth to do it. Maybe even Sunday, but once we get into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all the other participants of the show up, it makes it much more difficult. So we may be able to maybe like just do audio only, or you may have to wait and just download it. But if you want to subscribe to it, because that's the best way to make sure you always get the latest episode, it's you can find the RSS files, the iTunes links, and all that kind of stuff at pcper.com/podcast. And we're going to play Battlefield 3 after the show if you're watching live as well. So get those downloads going.
Update it.
We just updated our computers here. It's about a 2 gig download, so you have approximately 60 to 90 minutes to make that happen. While also watching our stream, so make sure you throttle that a little bit. We don't want any competition.
How about Yeah.
Eh? All right.
Nothing at all. You know, I was busy picking my nose, and I thought that, hey, I was doing this on live stream. And then I dug a little deeper.
Just if
you
you're going to go
never
all
want
the
to
way.
do anything half-assed.
History doesn't say that. Let's talk about some stuff. We had a mishmash of reviews went up this week. The first thing we want to talk about is a new case from Thermaltake. This is they call it the new Soprano, which lets you know that it's new. Right, a pretty good indicator there. The VO9000, which I misinterpreted for a little while as the V09000, but that was an O, not a 0. It's a mid-tower case. Lee did this review for us. He does really good work in terms of building a system in it and letting everybody know what there is to see. If we take a look at some of the specifications, it is mid-tower, 4 5.25-inch bays, one external 3.5 bay that you can hot swap a hard drive. Kind of hot plug it in at the top. Internal bays, 5 hard drive bays, 7 expansion slots, all that kind of stuff. Splots. I like to play the slots. So you can see that drive bay up there. Front USB 3. It's a decent looking design, pretty modestly priced. It's got some fan filters. I'm a big fan of fan filters. Anytime we can get cases with almost all intakes, 2 half filters on it, I would prefer that. Little bit of noise dampening material as well. And it's kind of, you can see there, here's a picture of it with a hard drive and a picture with an SSD installed, which is kind of nice. Kind of nice to see. I didn't get a chance to play with this particular case, so we'll just have to take his word for the review here. But there's a big list of strengths and just a couple of weaknesses. The internal drive trays aren't really toolless, despite maybe being labeled as such, and the fixed internal 3.5-inch drive bay is blocked by the front fan intake. So if you're looking for a new chassis, take a look at this. It's $120. $120 at Newegg as of December. Oof, we're past December now, so let's double check. Good, still.
The days are getting longer.
Are they really? That's good news.
Yeah.
So check out that review from Lee if you want cases. Cases are definitely something you have to go look at the pictures of and read about the experience of installing it and all that kind of stuff. You can't really look at a spec sheet and get much out of that. We also had 2 reviews come from Maury this week, who is the newest member to our team. He cheated a little bit. He bought this laptop for his wife for Christmas, but before he gave it to her for Christmas, he decided, it's like, hey, Maury, let's do a review of that. Get your thoughts on it. So we did a review of the ThinkPad.
You weren't supposed to say that. It was a secret.
I don't think she watches the show, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think most people's wives do not. I know mine doesn't, and that's to tell you something.
Yeah, my wife just screams at my kids
Yeah.
while I'm recording, so she pays no attention whatsoever.
Noise-canceling mics, Josh. Noise-canceling mics. So the ThinkPad Twist is a convertible Ultrabook, which means that it does this thing here. It twists and then flips back onto itself, so it becomes a tablet and also has a full-size keyboard. A 12.5-inch display with Gorilla Glass, convertible hinge, full-size keyboard, Windows 8, touchscreen, obviously, all that good stuff. It's kind of interesting to see this first iteration of...
That's the way I'm going to use it, is the pyramid method.
Oh, like this?
Keyboard on the inside, yeah, that's...
So actually, that's... But see, I have... I can't... Here, hold on a second.
I'm holding. Oh, am I ever.
So I have the Yoga sitting here, and this is a different convertible Ultrabook from Lenovo. And it does that as well, like where you can put it in, they call it tent mode, which sounds really dumb. But it's actually pretty useful for media
Do you put that
consumption.
over your lap at that point?
No, you would put it on a table.
Mode?
Well, it depends on what you want to type with.
Depends on what video you're watching.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty good for media consumption. You set it on the desk in front of you, you set it on the tray in front of you on the airplane, and it still has a pretty stable service to do the touchscreen type things to it as well. I like the Twist a little bit better because if you want to use the tablet in the Yoga, the keyboard's on the bottom, the touchscreen's on this side, and so you kind of have to hold it with the keyboard on it. If you set it down on a desk or on a table, the keyboard is directly touching the surface of that. Whereas with the Twist, you rotate it, and you can go in tablet mode and still have a clean bottom, I guess I'll say, like here, like that.
After tent mode?
Well, hey, The specs of the model range quite a bit. I know they're selling this. This was on sale at like Staples over the holiday as well. But there's all kinds of different configurations you can get and that kind of stuff. Pretty good machine. Maury seemed to like it. Obviously, specs will vary. You can get the spindle hard drive. You can get the SSD. You can get faster processors and more memory and all that kind of garbage. One thing that confuses me, you can see here on this picture of the hinge, there's definitely an error. Like, it only rotates one direction, which every time I have used Lenovo Twist I have here, I try to go the other direction first. It's kind of like it's like the USB.
Really?
It's like the USB port issue where you always plug it in upside down.
It doesn't go both ways?
It does not.
Are we tired of the innuendo yet?
No. Yes.
I've had a couple of people at work ask for this, and from experience, I know that they're not going to follow the simple instruction of it only twists one way.
Well, it may twist the other way, but it's not supposed to, I guess, I would say. So Maury's model had a 3317U, 4 gigs of memory, a 500 gig hard drive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So go check that out. Performance is pretty good. Battery life, not the best. Where's that at? Here we go. Let's go to the battery life page. View angles were solid. He does audio-visual testing, video testing, audio playback, sound tests, system battery test. So he was able to get on our PC Perspective battery test, which is kind of like best case scenario, web browsing only, 196 minutes. So somebody do that math. 3 hours and 16 minutes. Is that right? It's not great. It's not great.
Right, it's not good.
But it's an Ultrabook, and that's kind of what we expect. That's kind of what you get from Ultrabooks. The Lenovo Yoga is basically the same configuration there. It's only integrated graphics, no discrete. Not going to be able to play games on it. No heavy 3D gaming and that kind of stuff. But let's see. As you look at the strengths and weaknesses here, you like the IPS display, Windows 8, Corning Glass, application performance, non-gaming was good. Gaming performance not great. Usability, full-size keyboard, but didn't like the USB 3.0 port placement. Battery life does not live up to manufacturer's claims, which is pretty much the case always. and inability to remove, replace memory and battery. So check out that Ultrabook if you want to read that. And then the second piece that Moy wrote up is we just published this today. MSI's Z77 M-Power Big Bang motherboard, because I love some big bangs. This is it was way back in August. Actually, we had this video embedded here where Alex came out and talked to us about this board and what it was going to attempt to do. And this is the board that came not pre-overclocked, but pre-certified to overclock to certain capabilities. So it's, it lived up to its claims. Look, I mean, if you look at the back panel here, 6 USB 3.0 ports integrated. That's great. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, DisplayPort, HDMI, Gigabit Ethernet, all that kind of stuff. Let's see what we got here. I'm trying to think. One of the things he didn't like, it didn't have a whole lot of SATA support. I think it only had the 6 SATA ports. Yeah, we're looking right here. I actually like the way the motherboard looks. I like the matte black PCB. It's kind of hard to see in photos, especially when there's any kind of glare. But the matte black finish on the PCB is really nice, and then all the black, like DIMM slots and PCI Express connectors and that kind of stuff, I think really give it an aggressive appearance. It has a lot of overclocking extras. Still supports 3-way crossfire and SLI. It's got the necessary PCI Express slots for that. And you can see it's got 3 full by 16s and then 4 PCI Express by 1s. A lot of good, I guess we'll say, expansion capability on that. So a really good motherboard, and I think it's reasonably priced as well. I'm going to go ahead and jump. You guys should definitely check out Maury's review. He's done a good job of kind of expanding our motherboard reviews and introducing a lot more variety in what we're testing, right? So it's not just benchmarks. We look at the bundled applications, we look at the BIOS features, but then he's testing the individual system ports, how the SATA ports perform from different controllers, USB 3 versus USB 2, and synthetic tests, multimedia tests, gaming tests, and then obviously overclocking and power consumption, things that really kind of can differentiate motherboards from each other. It has OC Genie, everybody's favorite oddly named overclocking feature that took our, what is he using, a 3570? Yeah, 3570K up to 4.2 gigahertz and 2.1 gigahertz memory speeds. That's pretty awesome for just hitting a button, to be perfectly honest. And then manual overclocking, what he was able to get up to 4.4. So pretty good results there. It did get a gold award. Maury did like the board quite a bit. Current pricing at $189. So expensive, not as expensive as like MSI's own GD80 or the Asus P8 Z77 premium board or something like that. Still kind of reasonable in that regard. But what it could have used is maybe an eSATA port or 2, additional SATA 3 capable ports. It only had the 2 that came from the Intel controller, I guess, and then CMOS battery and reset jumper were placed underneath the graphics card in the primary graphics card slot, which is kind of dumb, kind of stupid, but check out that review. Just posted yesterday if you're listening to this, not live, I guess. All right, Josh, you want to talk to us a little bit about the story that you posted up this week, looking at a little bit more discussion and in-depth on overclocking of the 8350?
No.
Well, I would recommend it.
Fine.
Let's go.
Can I clear my throat first?
No.
Excuse me. So AMD sent me not only a processor some months ago, but they sent the liquid cooling system that they are offering currently with the 8150, which is the last generation part, and we're assuming they're going to offer this with the next generation of the 8350. And I was able to test it out with the said FX 8350, and the results were quite interesting. This is the first time I'd really ever worked with a closed-loop liquid cooling system. And the experience was, actually a lot of fun. First thing that I will tell you off the bat, the manual for this blows monkey butts. You get a general idea of what to do, but, well, maybe I shouldn't be talking about monkey butts in that. But anyway.
That's slot A, right?
It's not too naughty. But anyway, the manual's horrific. You don't figure out very much about what to do. You just kind of have to do trial and error and see what fits. And then you kind of figure it out because it really is not all that hard. Once you get the unit mounted, and up and running. It's nice. It fits on either the back of the case. It's a 120 millimeter radiator unit. It's got two 120 millimeter fans. They're in the push me pull ya. Why do I even go on with this?
I don't know.
Mounting monkey butt.
The article was made for you, Josh.
Apparently.
Not on accident. It's not like he wasn't the person that wrote it.
And now we know what was going through his mind as he was.
Yeah.
Blame Ace Tech.
So what does it perform
They're the
like?
people
Tell me
who do
what
that.
changes. I don't care about any more of your innuendo crap. Tell me what happens.
What changes? Well, it's a double wide. God damn it. It's a double wide radiator, so it's thicker than normal. Mm-hmm. And it contains twice the fluid.
Mm-hmm. I will
the usual
disconnect your
one.
ass from this call. I want you to know this. I will read the graphs and we can move on.
That's true, you could. But I don't recommend it. Anyway, so it's got a big thermal load to it.
This is a horrific start to this year. This
Happy 2013.
give me
But in all
benchmark.
seriousness,
Yeah, please.
it cools really, really well. In the silent mode, I saw pretty decent performance in slightly overclocked situations. In highly overclocked situations, it did get a little hotter than you wanted to. We weren't able to go to the full 4.8 gigahertz. We had to drop it down to 4.7. But if you remember my previous article with the FX 8350, I was able to take it to 4.6 gigahertz with some mild overclocking. And that was with a better than average fan and heatsink.
Right.
And I was okay with that result because I'm not a huge overclocker anyway. I don't spend the time. I don't have the equipment. I know how to do it, but
Sure.
I just, when you're going to 10 to 15 megahertz at a time, I just lose patience. It's not great. But with this, I was easily able to go 200 megahertz above that point and do it pretty comfortably. It did get loud at full speed.
Oh, does it? Is it the fan or is it the pump that gets loud?
Oh, it's the fans. The two fans going at 3,600 RPM.
Ah, two fan. Okay.
They make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
When they're in the silent mode, they're absolutely quiet and still provides very, very good cooling. And the pump, I don't hear it at all. Even though that's a 3,600 or 3,500 RPM unit, it's not. I can't even hear that.
Right.
It's the fans. And so when I had it in the extreme mode, when the fans were as fast as they could go at, I believe, 4.8 gigahertz, it was only hitting 36 or 38 degrees centigrade. I mean, that's low for that high.
What are you measuring that with, by the way? What is it? 8 to 64?
Something near and dear to him.
No. It's the internal sensor of the cooler itself. And I found that was actually more accurate than the internal CPU sensor. The CPU sensor actually showed a little bit lower for whatever reason. And when the CPU sensor went below 28C, it would start really fluctuating strangely. It would report 15C up to 24, then back to like 10C. And my room was not nearly that cold, so that just after a point, the on-die just wasn't working very well. But I found the internal sensor of the cooler did it seemed a lot more solid and stable with how it did that. So anyway, the results, it was a really good cooler, and I was able to get more megahertz out of the overclock, and I could use it comfortably. Now, I've got it set at 4.4 gigahertz right now in silent mode. It never gets above 35C. And it's a nice little overclock from the stock 4 gigahertz with the 4.2 gigahertz turbo. So, I think for the extra $100, actually, these are probably going to be less than that now.
Right. We should say, like, the 8350 model with the LCS isn't out yet, right?
Correct.
Okay.
But Corsair has, I believe, the H80.
Yep.
And the H80i, which is comparable to this product. They're both, made by Ace Tech. And, they cool very, very well. They stay very, very quiet. They have nice little controls to them in that you can adjust how when the speeds start to ramp up. You could have silent mode, extreme mode, whatever you want to do. I just leave it in silent mode, and I overclock it to where I'm comfortable with. And it's better option than just the stock cooling and the standard air and tower fan that we usually see. So it's a good experience, and I was able to get a couple hundred more megahertz out of it just by using this particular product.
More gigahertz.
More gigahertz.
More gigahertz. Okay, so yeah, like I said, it was, again, because of the holidays, not a whole lot of articles and that kind of stuff brought up. I guess we'll cover a few news items, and then we'll get into our CES predictions. We'll ask Alan what he thinks is going to happen in the world of storage. We'll ask Jeremy what's going to happen in the world of everything else. And Josh, I'm going to ask him some interesting questions about CES.
No, not at all.
Where is his favorite Salisbury steak place in Las Vegas?
Denny's.
That's my question.
Right.
Did you know?
Next to La Quinta.
Ken showed me today. Pelly posted on Facebook the Little Buddha closed. The Josh doesn't eat sushi. Okay, well, never mind. It was my favorite sushi place in Las Vegas. Obviously, not
sushi in the middle of the desert.
Obviously, not many people's favorite sushi place in Las Vegas, I guess. Let's take a quick second to thank our wonderful podcast sponsors for this week. Look, guys, this is going to be something new. It's 2013. We're going to mix things up a little bit, and we're gonna talk to Alex from MSI and thank him for sponsoring this week's show. Alex.
The all-new Z77 M-Power mainboard from MSI is poised to change the overclocking game. Every Z77 M-Power board will have a factory 24-hour military-class burn-in test completed before shipping. Additionally, performance-optimized features such as Go-To BIOS, Multi-BIOS 2, V-Check points, Bluetooth 3.0, and onboard Wi-Fi allow users convenience and total system control over their overclocking and gaming experience. This is the new endurance champion, Z77 M-Power from MSI.
I'm just kidding. It was Alex talking about the M77 M-Power board. But now, if you want to, you can go to the PC Perspective and read the review and see if what he was saying is actually true. If it is a revolutionary new experience, you can ask Maury about that. Maybe at CES we'll have Alex record some new ads, but it's like on the spot. I think.
Good luck on that.
You think he'd respond well with that, Josh?
No.
You don't
Especially
think so?
if they do the military theme again.
They are having a party at the Hardwood Suite at the Palms, like with the one that has the half basketball court in it. Maybe I can just record like me, like totally, since he's shorter than I am, like just totally stuffing him, yeah, and then put that in the ad. I'm like, "What's up, MSI?" or something like that. I don't know. No.
No.
I'm a little worried that my slang is out of date.
Ryan Trout in the house. Denied.
All right, let's. Speaking of MSI, we actually posted a quick little video preview of a board that we're going to do some Thunderbolt testing on, send off to Maury for another review, this time of the MSI Z77A G45, not GD45, G45 Thunderbolt. And as you might expect, this motherboard is going. Oh, look at that! Look at this! What is that, guys? International CES. Oh man, must be sponsored by AMD. So the G45 Thunderbolt is a low-cost Thunderbolt option for people that want to build a new system, right? And it's a Z77 powered, and the cool thing about it is it's like $160. And here's the clue that MSI tipped us off. I don't know if they want everybody to know this, but it's almost the exact same PCB as the GD80, right? It's missing some stuff. It doesn't have as many SATA connections. It doesn't have eSATA. It doesn't have the GD80 has a higher end audio controller, that kind of stuff. But in terms of overclocking capability and the primary feature that you get on these boards, the Thunderbolt connection, they are the same. So if you see here, let's fast forward a little bit. This is the G45 Thunderbolt. It looks a lot like the GD80, Ryan. Yes, it does. Actually, I think we show them side by side right here. Yeah. So you can see the connections. You get a little bit more on the GD80. Obviously, as you'd expect, it's a much more expensive motherboard. But you can get the G45 Thunderbolt for $159 on Newegg as of when we were recording this. So a pretty nice little option. We're going to have a full review of that and see how it stands up to everything else. But I expect to find this to be easily the best value for people that want Thunderbolt. Maybe even a great value for people who are just maybe thinking about Thunderbolt down the line. So... let's see. What else is news? This is kind of news, I guess. Did anybody have any thoughts on this? The Sumitomo Electric greenlit Sumitomo Electric is greenlit for infrared light Thunderbolt connections. So what's interesting about this here is you see the giant spool of Thunderbolt cable here.
That's only like $7,000 for that spool.
I have no idea if that's
By Monster.
by Monster.
Yes.
So they're going to start manufacturing cables up to 100 feet in length.
Which is a lot shorter than what's on the spool in that picture. Just
Yeah.
Are you trying to tell me that they're lying to us? Let's look at their press release page. Ken, did you say they mentioned in here what the lengths were? So, up to 30 meters. So up to about 100 feet. Now, what's maybe a drawback to this, it is a drawback to this, is you cannot get power from these versions of the cables. One of the things that's nice about the current Thunderbolt implementation is that if you have an external drive, you can get, if the device only needs 10 watts of power, it can be powered by a single cable, by the Thunderbolt cable. In the optical versions of this cable, that won't be the case. Unfortunately, we cannot get power through light photons.
well, you can't.
Not 10 watts?
No.
Yeah. You can get very, very minute amounts of power. But
The wire
now,
on the 10 kilowatt one is just going to be really thick.
yeah. It's going to get hot too. Same data rates, 10 gigabits per channel, 20 gigabits total, up to 100 feet. Did they mention anything about pricing on this? Is this going to be less expensive? I'm guessing not. Fiber optic cables are going to be 100-foot fiber optic
Much
cable.
more.
That picture is that picture is quite deceiving, isn't it? About that only being 100 feet. I don't think so. Maybe if it's a tiny...
It's a small spool, if you know what I mean.
I don't.
Oh.
Could you explain it to me?
No.
Okay, thanks. So that's coming out. Not going to be cheaper, but now you can keep your Thunderbolt RAID array 100 feet away from your computer?
The cable is actually just sort of tucked around the spool.
You know those
just a different
drives
spool.
are so damn loud, you got to keep them away.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't know. What's the benefit of having a longer Thunderbolt cable? What am I missing? What's the...
The fact that it's longer.
The mythological Thunderbolt projector at an AV room in which you actually have to run through the walls, and it's going to go more than the 10 feet you can now.
Yeah, I guess.
Sure.
Not that I think there's a signal projector on the market you can buy right now that has Thunderbolt.
Maybe like a docking station.
I guess, but I mean, when you put your laptop with the Thunderbolt connection, like, next to all that crap, I don't know.
No, usually it's in the ceiling, and you want to provide like a wall wart.
Well, okay, for the projector kind of data interface, yeah, maybe.
Server you have.
Right.
Lost it somewhere.
I guess I shouldn't be one to complain about having cables that are longer because I run hundreds of feet of Ethernet cable when people probably don't think that's a good idea either.
For the price of that cable, you could probably build the home theater PC right next to the projector.
That's all right.
Just add
Still
one.
telling you
Just
should have
build
went with
a
the
new home
directional
theater PC.
Pringles cans.
Oh, for our internet? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all right. Two other things we want to talk about. This one is kind of interesting. It's apparently not going to be something that's announced at CES, but is coming maybe in the March timeframe for 2013. Here you go, guys. Be excited. Intel's going to launch a TV service. Who's excited? Alan, are you looking forward to this for your home theater PC?
I think they ran out of stuff to invent.
So this is a collection of rumors. GigaOM posted a collection of rumors from, we're talking about Wall Street Journal, New York Times, those types of places, where Intel has apparently been working on for quite a while now a stealth undercover group, a stealth undercover organization inside Intel called Intel Media that's planning to launch a TV service this year. Well, it won't be ready at CES. Knowledgeable sources make the author quote quite confident it will happen in the March timeframe. So what's interesting about this is they took a lot of people, like, where's my list of people that they actually took? So Eric Huggers, who led the BBC iPlayer, which is a very successful online streaming media platform that's very, very popular over in the UK. Sean Luddick from Jawbone, who's responsible for getting Jawbone into all the retail outlets like Best Buy. Courtney Westendorf, who handled global marketing for Apple, and a couple other people. Apparently it has a completely separate board of directors headed by Paul Otellini, who was on his way out the door, interestingly enough. And look, this is part of Intel's global culture shift to move away from being a silicon manufacturer. They don't want to be a silicon manufacturer anymore. It's kind of like, I kind of put it on the same premise as the ISPs don't want to be a dumb pipe, and Intel doesn't want to be a dumb chip provider, right? Where they just make chips and they give them to people to create all this cool stuff. They want to be the ones that create all this cool stuff.
Well, like you say, they're moving to a platform provider idea, which, IBM did a long time ago, and it makes a lot of sense that Intel doesn't want to just be hardware.
Right.
But who else is going to be hardware then? I mean, seriously, why do they want to get into the service industry when they are essentially the top dog in hardware and they have these really fat profit margins?
Right.
And now they're going to be fighting with Hollywood and, well, I guess Vancouver as well, and Bollywood.
It's
over margins of these products.
When you're a company
but when
the
you've
size of
milked
Intel,
out the margins of one, and I mean, these guys at this point, what can they do to bring their hardware margins up? But they're publicly owned. The shareholders want more money, so they got to branch out.
That's what I think it comes down to.
Why don't they invest money in their mobile stuff, which is a growing, booming industry, instead of spending millions of dollars on service?
I think here's what I think. I think there's a little bit of hubris involved, where they are confident that they're going to win in the next 2 to 3 years in the mobile side, right? That they feel that way. I really think they do, based on some of the conversations and crap I've seen online. Like they think they've already, to quote one of my favorite people inside Intel, slayed the dragon, if you will. Which, if think about it, you'll get the reference. And so, but I think Jeremy is exactly right, where it's like, when you're a company this big, how do you continue to grow? How do you continue to grow? I agree with you, Josh, on the fact that I think there's tons of room for them to grow in the mobile form factor. They have a long road ahead of them if they want to be the dominant cell phone, tablet, chip provider. And I think there's a decade's worth of work there to become as dominant as they are in x86.
The amount of R&D that they've done in memory chips, that is going to grow huge over the next few years.
Look,
who wants slow-ass spinning disks when Intel can provide you gigabytes of fast storage?
Wow.
Gigabytes.
Yep.
Why?
I don't.
Well, it's the same way that IBM went out of the hardware business.
Well, they were forced out of the hardware business
almost 15 years ago now. And moved to being a service provider before being a service provider was cool.
Yeah, but they were forced out of the hardware market. Like they had no choice but to evolve. Intel is at its peak, or a peak, right? And I think what's happening is they're like, we're so good at all this stuff. Let's be good at other stuff too. And what's unfortunate is, like I kind of mentioned this in the story, it's like, look, I'm not going to believe this is going to be successful. Like, so let me detail a little bit more about what they're trying to do. They're going to build a set-top box that you buy, but then they also want to deliver this Intel TV service to your cell phone and your tablet and your laptop and your desktop. They want it to be anywhere. And they're according to these rumors, the goal is for it to be the a la carte TV service that we all really want. We all don't. I don't want to pay $130 to my cable company for 600 channels when I really only watch 5, and they all start with ESPN, right? But in order to get that, I have to have all this other stuff. And
I'll admit it. You watch Strawberry Shortcake on Nick Jr.
It's a.
I mean, who
pleasure.
doesn't really?
And here's the thing: if Intel can make that happen, I'll buy whatever they sell. Right? I'll buy that hardware. I really will. The first company that can do that correctly, I will buy that hardware. But do you have faith that Intel is going to be able to do that when Google hasn't been able to do it and Apple hasn't been able to do it? Is Intel something going to come in? What do they bring to the content creation side of things, either to NBC or to the movie companies or to these other providers.
Monkey butt load full of cash.
Yeah, but
Hey,
Apple has
what
cash.
did they bring to the 3D graphics market?
Nothing. The 3D
Vague
graphics market?
promises of
yeah.
real-time ray tracing on hardware that is yet to show up yet. Even though they've given Dan a job, which is nice.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I read all this and I was like, okay, this is definitely news. They're not going to show it at CES, according to all this. I don't know. I don't know what the mindset is. Like, how much?
Well, the thing that confuses me the most,
can go wrong.
They want to do a set-top box.
Right.
Okay, fine. Set-top box has been done, and you own the hardware all the way through. That's easy to do. How exactly are you going to get it from an owner of the set-top box also to their cell phone, to their tablet, in a way that it's not being streamed live and people can just get it without signing up?
Well, that's, I mean,
it's going to be a service. You're going to have to sign up with Intel.
Yeah.
And they're going to have tiers based on, I'm a set-top box owner versus I'm just a mobile user.
No, I think the set-top box is really just like, I think you'll subscribe to the service and then you buy a set-top box if you want to have an easy way to access that on your TV. I've also seen some CES announcements or some kind of meeting requests for there's a startup. I can't remember what the hell the name of it is. I'll look it up. But an Intel funded company that is doing a 2-screen experience where you just point the camera at the TV of your phone and it recognizes the images so it kind of works like Shazam does for audio, but using your camera for video. So you can just point your camera at the TV, it'll know what channel you're watching, and if there's any 2-screen stuff that you can put on your phone or put on your tablet or that other kind of stuff. So they have some interesting ideas. If you look at Intel's software history, like consumer software history, I have so little faith in them completing this process. Do you remember MeeGo?
Didn't Microsoft try and do one?
Microsoft TV, that was a long time ago. Do you remember MeeGo?
It's not a new thing.
AppUp? AppUp was an app provider, an application provider that's supposed to be cross-platform, all sort of kind of stuff. And that
they had Angry Birds on AppUp.
They did. It's I don't know. It's very odd, and I don't. Like I said, if Intel can do it, if somehow Intel has magically convinced all ABC, NBC, CBS, HBO to say, hey, let us sell your channel for $5 a month separately. And they can do that, they will win everything. I don't really know, like, how much more silicon do you sell for that? Or are they going to try to make a profit as the service company, as this kind of software streaming application provider? It's an odd combination. And when these hardware companies try to get into the business of their partners, it tends to cause issues. Look at what Microsoft is doing as a software company, trying to get in the hardware business with Surface and that kind of stuff as well. And what benefits does their, like, is somehow their technology going to decode the video faster? Are they just gonna lock it down so that you can't run Intel Media on your Android phone or your iOS phone, and you have to buy an Intel phone? Is that their play? Is that we're going to create an ecosystem, but you have to have our device? Or are they going to make it open and try to sell it as its own service? There's a ton of questions as to this.
Oh, Ryan, I can just see it. Core TV. If you're running a Core processor, you're good.
You can only watch it in HD if you have a Core. If you have an Atom, it's only an SD. But you have a scratch-off card, so you can upgrade that for $60.
You know it.
Down the line. I don't know. Alan, you have any thoughts on this? Anything? I don't really know. Like, do you think this is a direction Intel should be looking?
No, I think they're wasting their time, and it's just going to fall flat.
I don't.
There's no middle.
It's just, yeah, I don't know.
It's either going to be really
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Intel's. Kevin was saying, I don't know if you have your mic on, but there can't be a middle road. You can't have this moderate success for 5 years. It's either going to be incredibly successful and everybody's going to want it, or it's going to flop and fall on its face. In which case, you just wasted $1 billion, right, or whatever their investment is. And I hate to see. This is what happens when there's no competition. maybe that's exaggerating some, but they're like, crap, AMD's pretty much close to death. Let's figure out something else to invest our money in. And instead of making faster processors, because everybody believes that everything is fast enough as it is today, how about we make a TV service? I don't know. Maybe it'll be awesome.
Maybe like Redbox. They're just going to call it Blue Balls.
Okay, I don't get the ball reference except for you to be dirty on the show.
That never happens.
Yeah, I don't know. So I posted that up there. You can go to PCPer.com and see that and get the source to the GigaOM story. They have some more details, but they have some details, but they don't have like actual details. It was a very long article to say not a whole lot. I guess it's the same thing as my news post because we don't know. Like Google TV, like when Google TV was announced, you thought this is awesome. Finally, the capability to do this. How many of you own a Google TV? 0. I'm just going to answer for everybody. The answer is 0.
It had Intel Silicon in it.
It did have Intel Silicon in it. See how well that did? I don't know. If they do it, awesome. Like I said, I will buy. And that's what I was holding this up while Jeremy was talking. The Intel NUC. This is the set-top box for an Intel TV service, right? I mean, this is it. It has an HDMI port and it has Intel chips inside. Boom. Hardware is easy to do, guys. To do an ecosystem, I don't know. I just don't see it.
They're just hoping to get more money from you from the same hardware.
I just can't believe that Nuberific actually owns a Google TV.
Wait, what?
So they sold
in the chat
one.
room? And how often do you use it, Nuberific? That is the question. Has it revolutionized your TV watching experience? I'm gonna guess not. All right. So our last thing we're going to talk about, it's kind of weird to talk about because we haven't finished the post on it. Real quick. A lot of discussion about frame rate testing, frame time testing, latency testing in frames. Scott over at Tech Report has done a lot of work on this. It's good stuff for the most part. But I had gotten several tweets about it. I had gotten in several discussions on Twitter about it and a couple of emails kind of like, hey, how come you're not doing this? Are you paying attention to this? Yes, we're paying attention to a lot of stuff, and we've been working on this for quite some time.
About a year and a half.
And it's been, first of all, it's been software development hell. But we're going to have a video up. Probably if you're watching this live, we'll have it up by tomorrow. If you're downloaded this, it'll be on there now. Here it is. Look, there's me. Where we kind of give you a general idea of what direction we're going to take. And what's kind of interesting is Scott has done a lot of cool stuff. He's using fraps to measure frame latency, frame times. Okay, so instead of frame rate per second, you're in each individual frame what millisecond times it's taking and where there are stutters and all that kind of stuff. And there's some value. There's definitely value to that, and you can get a lot of new interesting information. One of the things that we're trying to get around is getting software out of the picture. Take fraps out of the picture. Take what the game and the driver is doing. No more trickery. What is the user actually seeing? And what we're doing is, and I kind of detail in this video, is we built a separate system that is using high-end hardware. One of them being here it is here. It's a separate system that all it does. It's a Sandy Bridge quad-core part, Ivy Bridge, and it has a 480 gig Revo drive, PCI Express SSD, because sometimes you're writing as high as 400 megabytes per second, writing 400 megabytes per second consistently, and you can't miss any data. And then we have this card here in this video. This is a about $2,000 capture card. It's a dual link DVI capture card that allows you to capture theoretically up to 2560 by 1600 at 60 hertz. And that's when we start getting into the 420 to 440 megabyte per second write speeds. And what we do is we take the output from the gaming computer, single output, take it into a dual link DVI splitter, send one to the monitor, obviously for us, and one to this capture card. And what we can do then is, let me see if I can fast forward in this video some to the back of my head. So here we are. You can see us. We're playing. We're going to run the benchmark mode in Sleepy Dogs. And what you see here on the right-hand side on our monitor, that's our capture device. So we're capturing all the information in real time. It's very important you capture at exactly 60 hertz. It's very important you never, ever, ever drop a frame for the type of development we're doing. You can see on the left a really crappy software tool that I wrote that kind of captures this and analyzes it and does some interesting stuff. But we're not quite ready to show a lot of the results. What we can show is what we get as a result is we recorded, how many seconds was that? 30 seconds, and it was about an 8 gig file, 6.5 gig file. Oh, 30 gigs? No, 6.5 gigs for a 30-second file. So, you can see what your benchmark runs are going to be. And then we can step through each individual frame and get really interesting information out of it. Here we'll show a couple of these overlays. If you're listening to the audio version, you should go watch the video version of this or go find this post the next day. But as you can step through each frame, and what's cool about this is you are capturing what the user and the gamer sees. No software issues, no question about is the game time different than the render time, are there different queues that are bottling up or bottlenecking or going up against each other, and you get stuff like this, right? So what we can do is in real time, we'll be able to put these overlays on it and then measure where these things change. So each of those 3 colors was a different frame from the game. Right, and same thing here. This is a version from Unigen, and each of these colors is a different frame. So you can judge what the frame rate is. You can judge if you're skipping frames. You can judge if there's any stutter. And here's Dirt 3. You can see there are 4 different frames at work there. And so we'll be able to tell, based on the patterns that these frames are released at, based on the order that the colors come in when we're able to do some of this kind of stuff, what you can actually judge from this. Right. So if you get half of the screen, if we go back, actually, this is one of the instances where bad stuff can potentially happen. Right, so we're not even going to tell you whose card this is or what configuration it is or anything like that. But if you see here, once this green comes in, what you see here is at the top you have a large portion of the screen with 1 frame. You have next down is green, and it's this tiny portion of the screen is being rendered with that frame, and then the next one down is blue. That's almost half the screen as well. But what's interesting is what the frame time sees, what Fraps sees, is it's seeing 3 frames in that 16 millisecond window. But that green stripe doesn't really count for anything, right? That's not improving your gaming experience at all. It's not enough of the screen real estate for you to find it compelling. We should actually omit that frame completely from performance testing and check to see if that frame causes stuttering and frame issues and animation issues and that kind of thing. So basically, we don't have a whole lot. We have a lot of stuff we've been working on. There's nothing I can show you yet. I'm hoping by the end of January we can have a whole lot of more detailed discussion on this. Have some guests out, bring some people onto the show, and have a more detailed discussion about it. But I had enough questions to me about what are we planning for this? How come we're not doing, frame time testing like Scott's doing? And I encourage everybody, go read that. It's important for everybody to know about it. It's important for everybody to take that into consideration. And by the time the next graphics cards are released, we will have a very, very different way of testing graphics cards than we've had before. It's going to be a lot more complicated for our graphics testers. It also means that like Josh is not going to be able to do the same kind of testing as we can do here in the main office, right? Because we have a $3,000 computer, $4,000, $5,000 computer dedicated to capturing this equipment. But we'll only have to do that for individual graphics card releases. But it's I tell you what, it's complicated because a driver release can change everything. The CPU platform that you're on can change a lot, and there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. So I see a lot of discussion going on in the chat room about it already. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it a lot more coming up. But yeah, that's interesting stuff. Any thoughts? Are you asleep?
Who?
You?
Me?
Anybody? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a nice gray carpet, but are the drapes
where
match?
You've been at and doing this.
What's that?
I've been wondering where you've been at and doing this. This is interesting stuff. I think you have a unique way.
Well, like I said, like we said earlier, the problem is on the software side. So we can capture the video out of the computer. We've got that down now, and the tool that we have is capturing it. The problem is, can we analyze it in a fast way? Think about it. If you're doing 60 frames a second and you're doing 30 frames of game time that you're recording, that's 1,800 frames, and I don't want to step through them individually and try to get some and decipher the patterns, right? So we're working with some people to figure out the software for that pattern, and then what kind of information, when you look at those frame captures, you can get the frame times. You can get the same information that you get from Fraps in a different, I don't want to say more detailed, but in a different level, like a different form factor, I guess I'll say, which I think I will like better because it's what the user is seeing, no more software steps between what is on the screen and what numbers are being reported. What's that? Yeah, there's Perl code involved. It's not fun. But then what you do is once you have all that information, can you intelligently decipher those patterns and tell, like, are you looking for a stutter? What makes a stutter, right? What patterns can you look for that make a stutter? Are you looking for frame latency and consistencies? How can we make sure, what percentages do you want to be within these errors, right? And there's all kinds of measuring decisions that now have to be made once you go through that far. So it's a work in progress. Like I said, hopefully by end of January, because we've got CES. I got another trip coming up in January, and then we're going to focus a lot on that, especially as we get closer to these new card releases. But I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that we're doing stuff. We're not ignoring it. I'm not ignoring it, and I'm not saying what Scott is doing is bad. I'm not saying that he's going to have to change what his method is. I'm just saying that, as I say in the video, I want to offer. He's doing what he's doing great. I want to offer a different perspective on it. Maybe it'll completely back up his claims. Maybe it'll be slightly off. Maybe it'll be completely different. I don't really know until we take a whole bunch of cards and run it through a completely finished system, I guess.
Hey, you know what? I've been measuring frames per second for the past 15 years, and that's been good enough for me up to this point. Get off my lawn. Up to this point.
But I mean, it started when SLI and Crossfire first started getting big, and you started seeing discussions of microstutter. And that's basically where we're at, is how do we define this type of stuff? How can you define animation smoothness? And it's a really hard problem. There's a lot of math involved. Yeah.
Math is hard.
Math, what's that terminology we learned, Ken? It's a rate match problem. And if you Wikipedia rate match problem, it's calculus, and it's because you got to look at the rate of the screen refresh, the rate of the game engine, and then the rate of the animation sequences on those frames, and they all have to match. And it's an incredibly dense, complex process on how it happens and how a graphics card vendor or driver vendor or game designer can try to address it. So, any event, check out that video when we have it up later. Now let's get into a quick CES predictions idea.
I've got a first good prediction.
Oh, Jesus.
Sore feet.
Yes, 100% success rate of that. That will be correct. Let's start with Alan. I feel like we've completely ignored our friend Alan over there.
And we should, because he's skinny.
Yeah.
Do you have any cheesecake filling in the house?
Actually, no. Oh. If I did, I would be eating it.
All right. So tell me, we don't really have any official word from anybody, but what are we thinking you might see at CES in terms of storage stuff?
Everyone's been all hush-hush lately. I think a lot of what we're going to see is just a lot of more of the same, just serial ATA 6 gigabit based SSDs, just because those are the easiest things for people to plug in. Might see a few more PCI Express based solutions, but I think those have sort of backed off.
Okay.
Believe it or not, right? You don't see OCZ pushing like the Revo and stuff like that as much as they used to. Mainly because once you start doing, once you start pushing 600 meg per second out of one SATA link, that's pretty darn good, right? So, really, I think it's just going to be all about getting the prices down, getting the, basically just making it more consumer-ish, just trying to get it more commodity for storage.
Nothing else? You don't expect dual PCI Express parts or...
If I saw any of that, I would be surprised, and it would be very server-oriented stuff. It's not going to be consumer.
What about SSDs the size of my thumbnail that I plug in my head?
If by that you mean jump drives
Flash
that are real
drives?
tiny.
Yeah,
I mean, they had
I don't want to
those,
see any
like,
more Victorinox stuff, to be completely honest with you.
Well, yeah, that was just too expensive.
Yeah.
Phase change memory being incorporated into SSDs?
What kind of memory?
Phase change.
No.
We're actually starting to see parts. It's at a very big process, but
You're seeing parts, but it's not. Everyone's just going for the cheaper stuff. Still, they're just going for the generic, whatever, just the little thumb drives. I think what you're going to see is those little thumb drives are going to just have more capacity and higher interface speeds. So you'll have USB 3 in more of them, as opposed to most of them just being a little 2 gigabyte USB 2 base, really tiny. Like you can slip in your wallet thumb drives that you don't even notice the things in your pocket anymore.
Right.
I think they'll just be going faster and they'll have more capacity to them. But the form factor, you can't go much smaller than, half again the length of the USB port. You need something to grip to get out of the port, right?
Wow.
Go ahead, Josh. Just take that and run with it.
Not saying a thing.
Yes, please don't. Ken, you were going to say something?
What about that OCZ sort of, I think it was a Marvell, like native PCIe SSD controller we saw last year that they were trying to push the Thunderbolt SSD that never came out with?
What we're not going to know until CES or even maybe a little after that is if that's one of the places that OCZ scaled back on after the whole restructuring they did a few months back.
On the kind of enterprise side of things, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Western Digital or Seagate or anything like that? Do we expect 5 terabyte drives? Are we expecting hybrid drives? What are we looking forward to on that side?
There's still... We'll be lucky if during this year the 4 terabyte drives fully catch on. And by fully catch on, I mean we don't even have a 4 terabyte green yet from Western Digital. They came out with the black and an RE.
Okay.
And that's it. I think they sort of did that backwards. Seagate makes a 4 terabyte, and I think what's the other company that makes one? Keeps popping up in external drives. They haven't really caught on. The place where you see them really is the external. It's only recently we started seeing them sold as an internal. So you have people doing this thing called shucking, which is where they're shuckling, which is where they buy the external drive for as cheap as they can get it on sale, and then they rip the whole case apart and throw the case away and the external enclosure away and install the drive internally just to get a 4 terabyte drive, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
You'd figure you'd just want to buy the OEM drive for cheaper, but they just haven't been selling them. Not that way, because I guess the majority of people just haven't needed 4 terabyte drives in their system yet.
Right.
I just did an upgrade myself, swapped out 8 hard drives in my system, and I didn't do 4 terabyte. I did 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I ordered
and that's
3
me,
terabyte
crazy
Western Digital
crazy Al
Reds
with the
for
raids.
our Thunderbolt array.
You gave your friends your sloppy second drives.
Hey, wait, he gave you drives?
There's a big stack of them over here.
Hey, wait a minute. We need
sloppy seconds.
We need drives for these raid arrays.
You need to. You're not allowed to put any drives in a raid, Ryan.
Hey, it's a Thunderbolt array. I don't have to touch it. It's not me. Jeremy, what do you think? Anything specific coming from CES? To be honest with you, I haven't heard a whole lot of excitement about stuff. It's not the year of Windows 8 anymore. Are we just going to see more tablets and convertible ultrabooks and that kind of stuff, or what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's not the year of Windows 2008 in that they're selling 24 cars at a time now. So, I mean, we're going to be seeing a ridiculous amount of mobile products. There's no question about it. That the Ultrabook might even sort of take a sideline to tablets, to the hybrids, with the dock being the key. I really expect that is a lot of what we're going to see, and I think we're going to see a crap load of integrating these tablets and such into your car. See a lot of automotive makers out there trying to sell their newest product, which will be, the Ford Explorer or whatever with a dock for be it an Android, be it an iThing. Yeah. I really kind of think it's going to be swamped in direction. I don't know how much we're going to see on the mobile phone business. I mean, we're going to see lots of new products. I don't know that they're going to be earth-shattering. NVIDIA's been very quiet lately about their mobile products.
Yes. Well,
I don't know much about them.
They're going to have a press conference. I can tell you pretty much assuredly they're not going to talk about discrete cards. So that really leaves Tegra 4.
Jeez, let's see. 2 years ago was Tegra 3. Last year was 2 years ago was Tegra 2.
Yeah.
Last year was Tegra 3.
wasn't it? Yeah.
28 nanometer Tegra 4.
And we already saw some leaks about that stuff too. Josh, what do you think? Any component stuff, or is it really going to be like Clover Trail versus Crate? That's the big story.
TVs.
No. Next.
You mean there's not going to be any TVs whatsoever at CES?
Not that I'm going to care about.
I see. Well, Samsung's going to be pushing the Exynos. We're going to see other people talking about A15, Cortex A15 products. Again, NVIDIA Tegra 4 is going to be front and center, and they're going to probably really push the graphics portion because they went away from the previous generation stuff, which was, I think Tegra 2 was a 4-pixel shader, 4 vertex shader unit. Tegra 3 was an 8-pixel shader, 4 vertex unit product. And this is going to be a 72 stream unit based on probably more the Fermi architecture. Well, Fermi? No. Kepler.
Right.
Than anything else. And they're going to be pushing that hard and talking about energy efficiency because it's the new 28 nanometer process. They've done a lot of things with their cores. They've got that 5th low power core. I mean, they're going to be beating this drum hard, and we're going to hear all about it that very first day.
Do you think it'll be the same thing that happens every year, though, where we hear about it and then, like, I mean, you get 9 months before you see a product? Like, what do we have out of the Tegra 3? What is the big product from Tegra 3? The Nexus 7? And then you got kind of cache.
Surface
that's more of a cache design win, right? Surface RT, because it's not a big seller. It's not like they're banking on that. Nexus 7 is probably the biggest. They weren't in the Nexus 10, right? That was a Qualcomm.
Nope.
Yeah, but every year they've had more wins and more quality wins, and they're shipping more products. So they haven't had the exponential growth that Jensen was saying 3 years ago that they were going to see.
Correct.
But they have seen pretty solid growth in that particular market, and if they're out here pretty quickly with an A15 base part with some of their secret sauce added in and good graphics and that 5th core that gives them a pretty nice edge in lower power performance, they could gain a little bit more traction. So instead of doubling their growth, they may only see a 50% growth, but still 50% growth year over year is pretty
unsustainable.
Impressive. Well, yeah, it's unsustainable, but it would be good for their business if they were able to do it.
How about we see?
We're going to see some new headphones out.
Yeah, Tim Tebow.
Oh no, T-ball!
Oh, Soul headphones.
How about I want to go to the Korean monitor section of CES.
Well, what about the touchscreens first?
Man,
I think you're going to be seeing a lot of touchscreens, and they're promising me foldable OLEDs.
They also say that every year.
Yeah, but this time there's been a couple of prototypes.
I think displays could be big, either touchscreen. I think seeing 2560 by 1440s is cheaper. I think maybe 4K displays. Maybe we'll start to see less expensive 4K displays, not $30,000. That kind of stuff. I don't know. So
solvents.
Yeah.
Fingerprint solvent's going to be big this year.
We will be back. We'll probably do a podcast at least Sunday night. I don't know if we'll do one on Saturday. We're not really. Maybe we could do the pre-CES again type of thing. We'll see. Maybe we'll do one Saturday. It'll be super short. To be followed up by the Cleaning Lady podcast Sunday morning when we leave. So, okay, let's get into our hardware, software picks of the week before we back away from the episode to play some games and head to CES. My pick is going to be the MSI Z77A G45 Thunderbolt board that we talked about a little bit earlier. For
the all-new.
The all-new. No. Not the Empower. The Thunderbolt. Right? So if we switch here, you can actually see it's on sale at Newegg for $144.99 after a rebate. Which is actually pretty impressive. So for $145 after rebate, you can get this very Z77A G45 Thunderbolt motherboard. Pretty good deal. Pretty good deal. As somebody, Thunderbolt has not caught on as much as we would have hoped, but if you are interested in it, this is a as low cost a way to get into that technology. If you are interested in large external storage, fast large external storage, and that kind of stuff, displays over Thunderbolt. Well, you can use mini DisplayPort displays as well, not just the Apple Cinema display. But for $145, hard to argue with that. Josh, what do you got?
You mean Jeremy?
Jeremy, what do you got? He's been gone so long, I forgot about him.
Yeah, you've totally forgotten about me. I have been using a very old Logitech Strikeforce Extreme joystick for a very long time, and not only does it have about a square foot for a footprint, it used to be a Force joystick that died. So I finally got a replacement this Christmas, and I gotta say that the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, it fits my hand just almost like I was a glove. It has a nice stiffness to the stick. It's got a bunch of buttons on it. I do kind of miss the double POV switches, but apart from that, it's so nice to have a joystick that doesn't just flop all over the place.
Wow.
It is not the newest joystick on the market, but it's dirt freaking cheap.
Even
and how often do you use one? I mean, mine's for X3 Albion and the other expansion before we get X4.
I gotta be honest with you, I didn't know they were still making joysticks. But for $23, it's pretty good.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, how about now, Josh? Now, are you ready?
Now, why does anybody need 16 gigs of memory?
Who cares?
Why?
Porn.
No.
A RAM drive.
Team Ramrod. No. But you know what? You can get it for like $79. 16 gigs.
Or your link is 84, you big liar face.
Oh, it was 79, but hey, no, look, 15% off.
And no, $15.
$15 off.
That's even more than 15%.
With Emin 42.
Ends on the 7th.
Yeah. Get to it. Add to your cart.
Going to.
Oh,
he's buying it now.
Oh, no. I actually
put in that code. Harder.
Yeah, quick, write down your credit card information there.
Yeah, just type that in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
4, 5.
All right, so your pick is memory.
Yes.
All right. Alan, what do you got for us?
All right, so I just spent a week on the road, and I used the crap out of this. It's like $45.
Oh, I don't want to see it, Alan. No, gross.
Scosh makes it.
Oh.
It's a backup battery. So it's like a 6 amp hour, that's 6,000 milliamp hour backup battery thing. It's got 2 USB ports on it, so it can power 2 USB devices, charge a couple at the same time. One of which is a 2.1 amp rated outlet, so it can charge quickly. The other one is a 1 amp rated, so basically it could do fast charging on either one of those ports. Pretty handy.
So it's actually a 5,000 milliamp hour battery at 5 volts.
Say that again?
It's 5,000 milliamp hour at 5 volts.
Oh, sorry, 5,000, not 6,000.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's really lightweight. It's pretty beefy, though, for, like, amount of juice that you can get out of it.
Yeah, this is pretty similar to the thing we bought for our Panasonic GH2 camera.
Yep.
I think that one was 6,000, and it has a 5, 9, and 12 volt outputs. 6,000, no, it was 8,000 at 5 volts. 6,000 at 9 volts, which is what we'll be using it at for that camera. Yeah, external batteries are great. I still am looking forward to the day where we don't have to worry about them. Ever.
Yeah.
Just fill the air with electrodes that happen to charge my phone in my pocket, even if it gives Josh cancer.
And, yeah.
Right?
And kill your babies before they
plug it into your body, and your movement powers it.
We'll just do
as
cloning.
Well as your heat.
And the cloning booths can be, surrounded in lead and stuff, so I don't have to worry about it. That kind of stuff. That's all I want. I think it's a pretty simple request. And there you go, Intel. You want a side project?
Make batteries.
Unlimited wireless power. Or what?
Too bad Tesla
also known as a microwave.
Crushed it.
Fuel cells, maybe? non-explodable fuel cells that I can take on an airplane?
Just override the interlock on your microwave and leave the door open and turn it on.
That sounds safe.
Everything will have power.
Oh, man. All right. That's going to wrap up the show for us tonight. PCPer.com/podcast is the URL you should go to share this wonderful show with your friends. PCPer.com/live is the URL where we stream this live. Wednesdays at 10 p.m. You can see us record it. You can see all the parts that we edit out because it's unfiltered. No 5-second delay. When Josh says incredibly awful, just horrific stuff, it just goes through the stream, unfortunately. Don't.
I think I'm at a natural 5-second delay anyway because you guys are like talking over me all the time.
It's more of wishful thinking.
It's just a closed loop.
So make sure you find us at all the places that we're doing stuff. YouTube.com/PCPer, Facebook, Twitter, some other places. PCPer.com is also a good place to go. I've heard that's a great site. You guys should really check that out. And we'll be flying out to CES on Saturday, so expect coverage to happen all week. Basically, we actually have a meeting on Saturday after the Bengals playoff game. I've rescheduled it.
Are we going to
Hooters across the street? Absolutely.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's our inaugural first lunch in Las Vegas at Hooters.
And watching the Bengals lose.
Oh.
Go Broncos.
Broncos. Oh yeah, they'll actually do very good this year. We have to play the Texans anyway. So we'll have one meeting on Saturday, lots of meetings on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So make sure you check out all of our coverage. You can see that at PCPer.com, or if you want to filter just the CES stuff, it'll be PCPer.com/CES. And we'll have not only me and Josh and Alan and Ken on site, but we'll have Chris and Tim and Scott and Jeremy and Maury all at home helping us cover all the new stuff that happens during the week. So if you want to know about the hardware news, as well as the tech news, as well as maybe TV, just pay attention to PCPer.com/CES. I guess that's it. We got anything else? Any other announcements? No, we're done. All right, guys. If you want to hang out and play some Battlefield 3, that's what we're going to try to do after the show. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walworth.
I'm Alan Malentano.
See you guys from Las Vegas. Bye.